So good evening, everyone. One of your classmates um, expressed some trepidation with inequalities. Inequalities will be on your GED exam. You will probably have maybe two, maybe even three of them. Sometimes you're going to be straightforward like this, where you just have to do it straightforward. Other times you might have a
No.
word problem. So what we're going to do here is solve it algebraically, right? So one of the things I would do, if you solve it algebraically, this gets a little tough because we're talking about fractions. So 5 minus 3/2 x is greater than or equal to 1/3. Okay, so we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Again, if you have problems combining sign numbers, use your calculator. Okay, so 1/3 minus 5. Okay, you can put fractions using this calculator. Minus 14 over 3. Okay, now, again, don't let fractions, don't let not finished exam be your downfall. So minus 14 over 3. Oops, I lost my pencil somewhere. So minus 3/2 x is greater than or equal to negative 14 over 3. Well, I hate fractions. This is already just too much for me, but I'm going to do it for you. Again, we want to get x by itself. How do we get x by itself working with fractions? We
With
want to get
what?
a positive. So two negatives make make a positive, and then we flip it. Okay, we take the reciprocal of that fraction. So now the threes cancel, the twos cancel, the negatives make a positive. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. So, uh, uh, Brittany, this is where you had some questions, right? So first of all, since we multiply by negative 2/3, or we multiply by negative 2 and then divide it by 3, right? So since we're multiplying by a negative, we change the what?
The
Sign.
inequality
The
sign.
inequality. So we get 28 over 3. Okay, because minus 14 times minus 2 is a positive 28. 3 times 3 is 9. So we get x is less than or greater than 28 over 9. We're done. There's your answer right there. Okay. And that's where again what I would suggest on part of inequalities, what I would probably say, this is my personal opinion, is I would flag it for review. I would skip that question. I would wait till I finish the exam first. Then I come back to that question. Most people in the inequalities, on average, spend about 3 to 4 minutes on that problem. To me, it's not worth the time spending 4 minutes to you not answering one or two questions. Okay? So now, say if we had something like this, minus 5 greater than x. So it's two reasons why you switch that inequality. If you multiply or divide by negative, or if the variable is on the other side, it's on the right side. So you just switch the two values, or the variable and the variable, then you switch the inequality. That's it. That's when you switch the inequality for two reasons. If you're trying to isolate the variable, you have to multiply or divide by a negative, or if the variable is on the right side. So, let me see. I think I just opened up two.
Okay. Can you do one more time?
Okay. So what we'll do is let me see if I have some questions. Give me some sample problems. Come on. Let me open up a. Let me try to find a. Why wouldn't they have examples on a handout? So these are the rules we're talking about right here. Um, when solving an inequality, if you multiply, divide each side by a negative quantity, the inequality symbol must be reversed. If the variable is on the right side of the inequality, reverse the values in the inequality. Okay. So let me find a nice. Does anybody have an inequality that they've been working on? And while I'm looking for one, see, for some reason my My computer froze when I tried to open up the sheet, the practice problems here. Let's see if it works. Yes, it's for some reason won't open up that PDF. Oh, hold on. There we go. There we go. See, I talk too much. So let me make it nice and big. Okay. So I'll do one where it's negative, and then I'll do one where the variable's on the right side. So if we look at that number, let me make this nice and big so you can see it nice and clearly. Okay. So first, we subtract 9 from both sides. We get minus x is greater than 1. Because the x is negative, okay, we divide by -1. We multiply by -1. Whatever you want to do to change that negative x to positive x. So if you want to multiply it by -1, you can. Whatever you do to one side, we do on the other. So these two negatives make a positive, so we get x. We got to switch that inequality, and that would be your answer.
So I have a question. So when you multiply and divide, you change the inequality sign?
Yes, when you go to isolate the variable, you're trying to get the variable by yourself. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you switch the inequality. Now, let's just put some numbers in here. This is one of the things. If you have multiple choice, you can put the numbers in there. So if x was -2, x is less than -1. So let's just use -2 and check it. 9 minus a -2 is greater than 10. 9 plus 2 is greater than 10. 11 is greater than 10. Check. Since you have your calculator, you can plug it in. Let's try another one. Again, you're going to have 2 to 3 of these. Now, here, remember, the algebra is still the same. Trying to isolate the variable. So I have two terms on the right side of this inequality. 7x, and I have plus 6. So since I'm trying to get x by itself, first let me get rid of plus 6. The opposite of plus 6 is what?
We subtract.
We subtract 6. I don't like using subtraction. I say -6, but we can subtract 6 from both sides. We get 21 is less than 7x. Okay. So again, x is not by itself. Right now, x is being multiplied by 7. What's the opposite of multiplying by 7?
Divide.
Divide by
Divide.
7. So we get 3 is less than equal to x because the 7's cancel. So here is where the issues come. Your variable's on your right side. So you just switch the 2. So put x on the left, 3 on the right. Then you switch your inequality. Boop, boop. X is greater than or equal to 3. So let's check it. What's a number greater than or equal to 3? 4. So we're going to check 4. We're going to plug it in. 27 is less than or equal to 7 times 4 plus 6. 27 is less than or equal to 28 plus 6. 27 is less than or equal to 34. That's true. Check. That's all inequalities are. But on the GED, they try to use these fractions. So let me explain what I would do. And this is just me and how I go about things. But let me show you what I just was showing Brittany a second ago. So to me, since I've showed you and I showed you the ebook and how to use the calculator, okay, what I would do, this is just me personally. What I would do is I would do this. Watch this. Since I can use the calculator, you should know 28 over 9 is a little bit larger than 3 because 27 over 9 is 3. So a number less than 3, 2. A number less than or equal to 7, 6. A number greater than or equal to 3 and 1/9, 4. A number greater than or equal to 7, 8. And then I'm going to use my calculator. Watch how easy this question becomes now. Let me clear everything. Watch this. And again, learning how to use this calculator
My
will
goodness.
benefit you. Watch this. 5 minus 3 halves times x. The first one we're going to use is 2. That number has to be greater than 1/3. Is that number greater than 1/3? Yes, it is. I'm done. No work at all. Okay, so these are a lot of the shortcuts that I show you in the ebook. Again, trying to use fractions and different adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions is difficult for a lot of people. That's why they used fractions in that inequality. Okay. All right, what's next? What other questions do we have? Oh, I know one we had. Compound shapes. Okay. So let's look at number. I would say let's look at number. You're probably going to see a question like number 4. So I'm going to ask 2 things, first of all. Now, this is only asking for the area. I'm going to ask for 2 things, the area and the perimeter. I'm going to ask for both. Okay. Does anybody know how they would do this problem? Does anybody know how they would do this problem?
Area is equal to length times width,
Okay,
like
so
7 times 5.
7 times 5. Okay. So 7 times 5. Is that it?
Uh, uh, that's it. I don't know.
Okay. And that is why we're here. That is why we're here. I try to make these things as easy for you to understand as possible. So when you get a compound figure like this, what you want to think of is this is more than one shape.
Yes, it's 2 things.
So this is rectangle 1. This is rectangle 2. Does everybody see that? My rectangle 1 is 11 by 7. Does everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
My second rectangle is 6 by, well, what is this? How do I know
It's
what
a square,
this is?
so it's like every side is the
No,
same. No.
You do not look at a shape and assume it's a square. It may look like a
Oh,
square. It is not a square. You always go by what you're given. So what you're going to do is this. What we know is, let me make this thicker. Hold on. Make this a little thicker. What we know is from here to here is 11.
it's
You
11.
understand that? From
Mm-hmm.
here to here
It's 5.
is 5. So
So we
from here
subtract.
to here is 6. So in your case, you were right. You did get lucky because it is a square, but you want to assume it's a square because it looks like one. So this is 6 by 6. So this area of this first shape is 77. This area of this shape is 36. We're going to add them together. And the area is 113 feet squared or square feet, either one. That would be the area. Okay, that's how we would solve the area. Okay, let me ask you a question. First of all, does everybody understand what I just did by separating this one shape into 2 different shapes and then finding the area of both of the rectangles and then adding those areas together? Does everybody understand that?
Why you multiply like 7 with 11 and why not 7 with 5?
Okay.
Where's the difference between them?
So the first thing we must realize is that the area of a rectangle is length times width. So when you look at this first shape here, you see it's 11 by 7. So length times width is 11 times 7. Understand that?
Okay.
The second shape, this is rectangle 1. The rectangle 2, we found out this was 6, this side was 6, and this side is 6. So again, length times width is 6 times 6. So we know the area of the first rectangle, 77, and the area of the second rectangle was 36, and then we add those two together. Got me?
Yes.
Okay. You will probably have a question. Okay. Now, what if I asked you for the perimeter? What is meant by the perimeter? What is meant by the perimeter? So if I ask,
We find the missing sides and then we add all.
well, the perimeter is the distance around. So what we want to do is we want to add all these sides together. Area is inside. Perimeter is the distance around. So again, you should hear me in your head when you're taking this GED exam. Identify what we know. So again, we have two rectangles. So if this side is 7, this side is also what?
7.
7. Okay. If this side is 6, this side is what?
6.
6. So we know at the top we have two sections that are 7 and 6. So to find this missing side, again, this side was 5 here. Change my color to red. This is 5 right here. So this side is 11 minus 5, which is also 6. Hold on, Mr. Tiz. I thought you meant perimeter was outside. Why are you looking at the length inside? Because that's what we know. In order to figure out that missing side of 6, right? We had to do 11 minus 5. But this 6 tells me the opposite sides are also equal. This is also 6. Everybody understand that? And then we just add these numbers up. 11 plus 7 is 18. Plus 6 is 24. Plus 6 is 30. Plus 6 is 36. Plus 5 is 41. Plus 7 is 48 feet. So our perimeter is 48 feet. Not 48 feet squared or 48 square feet, because that only has to do with the area. The perimeter is 48 feet. So a question they might ask you, they might give you this shape. They might say, how much fencing will be needed to enclose this shape in fencing? 48 feet. Everybody understand that? And that's a compound shape. This is what they're probably going to give you in the email that the young lady sent me. She wanted to know how to do this problem. You know what? I just bumped my head. It's so hot outside. It's like, I feel like 105. My brain is frying. I do not know how to do this problem. I'm sorry. Can somebody tell me how they think they would do this problem?
Just two shapes look like half circle.
So remember, identify what you know. So you see a half circle.
Look like this half circle. Now is this like first shape is half circle and the other one like is rectangle.
Say that one more time.
Rectangle.
So if this side is 6, what's this side?
6.
6. So now, since this is a half circle, what's the distance from one side of a circle through the center to the other side? It's called the what? Almost gave it.
Diameter.
Diameter. So we know our diameter is 6. Does everybody understand that? But the one thing you did say that's very important, this is a half circle. So remember, we identified our givens. So first of all, what we did was we identified we have two shapes put together. We have a rectangle, we have a half circle. Second thing we did, we identified our givens. We know the opposite sides of rectangles are equal. So if we know one side is 6, the other shared side is also 6. But that's also part of the half circle. So because that other side is 6, we know the diameter is 6. Does everybody understand that? So we know, how do you find a perimeter of a circle? I can't remember. How do you find the circumference of a circle? Does anybody know? formula sheet. How do you find the
Isn't it?
circumference of a circle? How do you find the circumference of a circle? And what you must first also realize is that the circumference is the same thing as the perimeter. So we're going to go to our formula sheet. Do I have a formula sheet open? I do not. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what it is. To find the circumference of a circle is d times pi, the diameter times pi. Can anybody tell me what pi is?
3.14.
3.14. Do we know what the diameter is?
6.
6.
6. So we're going to do 6 times 3.14. But we want a half of that. So first, let's find the circumference if that was a full circle. So can somebody, well, I can grab my calculator. Out. Always identify what you know. Don't get shaken by any problem. So 6 times 3.14. So the circumference of a full circle will be 18.84. But do we have a full circle?
No.
So we're going to
No.
divide by what?
1/2.
So we can't divide by 1/2.
Oh,
So we can either multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. Does
2.
everybody
Okay.
understand that that's the same thing? Okay. So we now know the circumference from here to here is 9.42. Does everybody understand that? Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Now, so let's find the rest of this. So now, if this side is 10, this side is also 10. So to find a perimeter, it would be 9.42 plus 10 plus 6 plus 10. So we got 9.42 plus 26. So we got our perimeter is equal to 35.42 meters. Everybody understand that? Okay, that's finding the perimeter. What the GED's probably going to ask you is to find the area.
So they say like find the area. So for the half circle, we say how do you say? Circumference something?
Say that again.
Like the circle, they don't have the area.
Right. So A equal pi r squared to find the area of a circle.
Okay.
The area of a rectangle is length times width. Always identify what you know. So we know the rectangle is 6 by 10. We know the diameter for this circle is 6. If the diameter is 6, the radius is what?
Half.
Which is what?
3 square. 3
Not,
square.
not 3 squared.
Okay, sorry, I was looking the formula. The
Right,
first
just
one.
3. You was plugging into the formula. So now, what we
Okay.
do, remember, that's a half a circle. So first, we're going to find the area of the full circle, which is area equal 3.14 times 3 squared. So you did jump ahead, but I know what you're talking about. The area of the rectangle is length times width, which is 6 times 10. This is 3.14 times 9. And this area is 60. So we're going to take our calculator and multiply 3.14 times 9. Again, you don't have to do this by hand. Use your calculator. The calculator is your friend. 28.26. Let me save that before I minimize it. 28.26. That's if we had a full circle. We only have a half of a circle. So we must divide that number by what?
2.
2. So the area of this half circle is 14 and 1300ths plus the area of the rectangle, which is 60. We get 74.13 meters squared or square meters. Because remember, we're talking about area now. So remember, area is 2 dimensions. Volume is 3 dimensions. That's why all your volume is cubic or to the 3rd power. That's one of the things people miss out on. What I saw on the exam the other day, question the other day, it had answers. So say, for example, it had A, B, C, D. And say the area was 48 square feet. Say the answer was 48 square feet. But the multiple choice had 48 feet, 48 square feet, 48 cubic feet, and then 48, I don't know, whatever. It maybe didn't have 48. But anyway, and the person didn't know. She knew the answer was 48, but she didn't know if the answer was 48 feet, 48 square feet, or 48 cubic feet. If we are talking about area, talking about square feet, square whatever, square centimeters, square inches. If we're talking about volume, that's where the cubic comes from. So remember, when you're reading these word problems and they give you certain information, if they say something is 48 square feet, they're giving you the area. If they say the capacity of something is 48 cubic feet, they're giving you the volume. So it's very important for you to understand. Area is 2 dimensions. This is why you're going to have square feet, square inches, or feet squared. Volume is 3 dimensions, a length, a width, and a height or depth. 3 dimensions, that's why it's cubed. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these and what we just went overnight is probably 2 guaranteed questions. You can almost put money. You're going to have where they either give you the area or perimeter of a rectangle. You have to find the missing dimension. Or they can give you a compound shape like this. You either have to, they usually have you find the area. You have to be prepared for a question like these that we just saw. Just did tonight. You have to be ready. Okay. All right. So close that out. What's next? Whatever questions or whatever types of problems have we been going over during the week that you had problems
I had a problem with the distance time, like mile, range, like what problem?
with? Let me find a blank peek. Here we go. So remember, it's probably easier if you have a question, send it to me email or text so I can put it on the screen. What's the question?
I did send last like my last Monday, and but I didn't join the class.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me let me resume this question. So I'm glad you sent it to me email. So this is what I want you to do. Like when you come across problems that you don't know how to do, send them to me, whether it's text, whether it's through email. Susan and Daphne are participating in a walkathon at the local community college track to raise money. Susan can walk around the track in 4 minutes. Daphne can walk around the track in 6 minutes. Susan and Daphne start walking at the same time. How many minutes will it be until they complete the lap at the same time? Right? So most people just do 6 times 4 and answer 12. That's what most people do.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna tell you
did.
what
I
most
watched.
people do. Draw a diagram. So I got my track. Okay, that's look like an egg, but let's say that's a track. Okay, let's say Susan is going to be red, and let's Daphne be green. Okay, so Susan is in red. She walks around the track. So the first time she gets around the track, 4 minutes have elapsed. Remember, identify what you're given. She walks around again. 8. She walks around again. 12. Remember I told you math is about patterns. You should now see that these are multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. So every time she walks around at a consistent pace, she's going to come back around. She's going to do that full track in 4 minutes. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Daphne's in green. So when she walks around, she's a little slower. It's going to take her 6 minutes. She's going to walk around again. 12 minutes. She's going to walk around again. 18 minutes. But when are they going to meet at the point. How many minutes will be until they complete a lap at the same time? 12. This is a least common multiple word problem.
How you would say like 8 and 12?
Say that again.
Like how you know it's like you say first time is 4, then 8, then 12.
Because look what I did. I drew a diagram. So if it says Susan can walk around in 4 minutes, that means she's going to go around the first time, it's going to be 4 minutes. When she walks around the
Okay.
second time, it's 8 minutes. When she walks around the third time, it's 12 minutes. Daphne takes 6 minutes. So the first time she does the track, it took her 6 minutes. She went around again, it's another 6 minutes, so it's 12. She went around again, it's another 6 minutes, 18. Understand that? So this is how we know. So now you see the pattern. 4, 8, 12. You see it's a multiple of 4 and a multiple of 6. So we want to use the concept, the least common multiple. Now, I don't like this question, and this is why. How many minutes will be until they complete a lap at the same time? Well, 24 minutes is also correct because they're going to also complete it at the same time at 24 minutes also. So I don't like this question. What they should have said is how many minutes will be until they complete a lap? The first time they complete a lap at the same time. That would have been a better question.
Like if you keep going after 12, you got the 24 too for both, right?
But the answer is 12. What they wanted is you to use the least common multiple concept, and your answer is 12. Got me? I think I also did your exponent problem last week. So if you look at the YouTube video from last week, you can also get that right too. Okay, here's another one. Where's that come from? Now, I doubt. I think you sent this one also, right? First of all, let me ask you a question. What are the givens in this problem? Can everybody see that clearly? So, what's the givens? Remember, you're taking this GED exam. Identify your givens. What do we know?
The rate
Huh?
per hour. The rate per hour.
Which is
I
what?
think I'm going
60 kilometers per hour.
Well, let me not use green. Let me go back to red.
What do you
What else do we know?
2 gallons of fuel every 50 miles.
Say that again.
2 gallons of fuel every 50 miles.
2 gallons of fuel every 50 miles. It says how many gallons of fuel we need to drive 5 hours? That's the question, right? So, first of all, what you need to do is how far did he drive? So, if you're going to 60 kilometers per hour and you're driving for 5 hours, 60 times 5 is 300 kilometers. Does everybody understand that?
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first step. How far did the person drive? Drove 300 kilometers. Okay. Now, second thing we need to do is 2 gallons of fuel for every 50 miles. We want to find a unit rate. Unit rate is 50 miles for every 2 gallons. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So this is the same as 25 miles per gallon. Does everybody understand that? So this was the first step. This was the second step from our givens, what they gave to us. Now, the problem is they gave us in kilometers and then they gave us in miles. But they gave you a proportion that 1 mile is the equivalent to 1.6 kilometers. So let me change my color to blue. So 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. So we set up a proportion because what we do know is that we travel 300 kilometers. So since kilometers is on the bottom on the left side of in our first ratio, we need kilometers on the bottom on the right side of our proportion. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so we don't know how many miles, but we can set up a proportion to figure it out. So we take our calculator and we divide 300. Well, let me too fast. Hold on. So how can we solve a proportion? We can
We
solve
multiply
by
and divide, right?
right. So we can either solve by equivalent fraction, we can solve by unit rate, or we can solve by cross multiplication. So we're going to 300 times 1, 1.6x equal 300. To get x by itself, we divide by 1.6. So what is 300 divided by 1.6? Can anybody tell me?
187.5.
Say it again.
Is 187.5?
187.5.
Yes.
Okay, let me make sure. 187. So again, that's miles. So from point A to point B is 187.5 miles. But that's not what they're asking. They're asking how many gallons of fuel would you need? Correct? So now we got one last step. So if we get 25 miles to the gallon, right? We're going to take this 187 and divide by what? And divide by what?
7 or 1.6.
So remember, we want to find out how many gallons of gas. How many gallons of gas do we get? What's our miles per gallon? So remember, we can drive 25 miles for every gallon. So we're going to divide that by 25. And what is 187 divided by 25? Can somebody do that in the calculator?
7.5.
Huh?
7.5.
7.5. So our answer is right there. This is a multi-level question. Listen. Hold on for 1 second. So this problem takes multiple steps. Okay, so you must be prepared to be able to do a question like this as multiple steps. Now for the GED, what I would probably say is you would get more of a problem, maybe like this.
Yes, like this.
This is not as many steps. It's still solving a proportion.
Yes,
But
yeah, yeah, I know, just like a proportion, like we have
this is the type of problem you can expect to see with GED. Now, on the AccuPlacer test, the task might have a question like the previous question. The GED, you probably won't see a question as that involved, do those many steps. Now, they probably wouldn't have the kilometer part. They would just say miles. So in that question, they would say the distance between point A and point B is 187.5 miles. And it gets 50 miles for every 2 gallons. They might ask something like that. So let me go back to that. So this is what I would expect, GD, back to that question. So here, what I would expect is, this is set, instead of this giving you, this would be miles per gallon. So driving the rate of 60 miles per hour. How many gallons of fuel would take to drive 5 hours? So So that's 300 miles. It would take the drive 300 miles. 2 gallons, you still do the unit rate. 50 divided by 2 gives you 25 miles for every 1 gallon. You take the 300 and you divide by 24. So you get 4, 8, 12. That's what the type of GED question that they probably would ask you. Okay, all this converting between kilometers and miles, they probably would ask you. Okay, so that's the type of problem they would say. They would say, Alex drives from city A to city B at a rate of 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, sometimes they give us
Okay.
like picture, like map picture.
Yes.
Yes.
Plus, I've been helping people pass the GED since about 2014. So I know the type of questions you can expect. So time is flying. It is already, believe it or not, 6:50. Any other questions? So this was from, again, this was from your email. So I appreciate you sending examples because I actually used 2 or 3 examples in last week's session. So again, this is part of the process. As you're working through problems, as you're practicing your capital, if you're practicing on my math course, if you're practicing with Steck Vaughn, I don't care what resource you use. Bring your question to class. Not only to say, how do I do this problem, but I also can go over, is this the type of problem you expect to see on the GED? Because the problem that she sent an email, how long did it take you to try to figure out that problem when you were solving? It took you like a long time, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you just, I'm not saying you wasted your time because it's important to know those things. So now, go back over the video, make sure you know how to do it. But the important thing you have to understand is, what can you expect on the exam? So you won't waste time studying the concepts. That's what I also get. And that's why I tell you, the ebook covers almost every concept that's in there. All right, what's next? We got about 10 minutes left. What other questions do we have? What other questions do we have?
I don't have any other questions right now, but I just wanted to tell the class the same thing that I told you. Like if you're not available to answer a question, that Al Tutor on the CK12 can answer a lot of your questions, and they do it step by step so that you can kind of figure out questions that are going to ask the same thing.
Oh, oh, wonderful. I'm glad you reminded me. So again, 2 of the resources that I use in my math course are Khan Academy and CK12. So what she's talking about is in CK12, not only did it give you adaptive practice. So what it does is, so the problems Brittany sees and the problems that I see are going to be different problems. And it adjusts those problems, which the difficulty, to the ones you get correct. So if you're getting them correct, it's going to increase in difficulty. But what she also said is, when she came across a problem she did not know how to do, it walked her through the steps of how to do it. Because now they have an AI tutor in CK12. And it walks you step by step. So they have they give you feedback in the text form, but you also can use the AI tutor to also explain to you if you had a problem right here. So here's a problem I believe you
Is
also
that I'm sorry, is that an app?
it is an app, I
It's
believe.
at
But if you
CK12.
go to my math course, you'll see CK12 inside my math course. So
Oh.
so I want you to look at this problem too. This is also another type of problem you can expect to see on the GED. And it's shown in different ways. So here, they give you the information in text. Here, they're giving it to you in the table. Okay. So this is still distance per time per minute per kilometer or kilometer per minute. Okay. Now, so what it's asking is, who runs faster? on average. Really easy. How would you do a problem like this? How would you do a problem? Anybody know?
I don't know, but average is like mean.
So first of all, what we want to do is we want kilometers per minute. So 5 kilometers over 20 minutes. So if we reduce to lowest terms, we get 1 kilometer every 4 minutes. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
We go to the table. Do the same exact thing. Kilometers over time. Three going to 3 one time. 3 going to 12 4 times. 1 kilometer every 4
So
minutes.
C was correct, like money and
Okay. Identify what you know. Find whatever ratio it is. I don't care how if you did minutes per kilometer, it doesn't matter. But you want to put both in that same form, and then you compare the two. In this case, when you think of miles per gallon, miles per minute, usually the distance is up top, the time is down the bottom. So that's why I chose kilometers over minutes. But I took the text and then I took the table and I extracted information from both. They both run at the same average rate. Got me? Did that make that clear for you?
yes, I just confused like why they gave me like big table.
And now you're good, right?
Yes, thank you.
So let me see. We still got a couple minutes left. Let me see if I can find another problem here.
Okay. Well, I have a question. Like, what's the difference between like sometimes they say quadratic solve with quadratic formula, or sometimes they are asking for the like factor, but the
Okay.
problem look like same, like equal 0.
So for example, the question is sometimes they ask you to solve a
Yes,
quadratic
solve
equation.
with quadratic
Sometimes they
and
ask you to factor a quadratic
factor.
equation. So say for example, I had x squared. Let's do plus 2x minus 15. What you should know when you're solving a quadratic equation, the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Well, you don't see a 0 here, Mr. Tinsley. You have to know if it's in this form, that's equal to 0. It might not say it. It might not show it. It might not display it. You got to know standard form is x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So if they ask you to solve it, first we're going to factor it. This is why sometimes they ask you to factor, sometimes they ask you to solve it. But to solve it, we must factor. To solve a quadratic equation, we can either use the quadratic formula or we're going to factor. So we're going to factor. So a is 1, b is 2, c is negative 15. What you doing, Mr. Tinsley? Where did you get that from? Did you just make that up in your head? Remember I told you, ax squared plus bx plus c. So my a, you don't see a number there, is 1. My b is 2. My c is negative 15. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do, when a is equal to 1, if a is equal to 1, we're going to factor. We're going to find the factor pairs of negative 15. What two numbers can we multiply together to get negative 15? 1 times negative 15, 3 times negative 5. We then go on the other side and change the sign. Minus 1 and a positive 15, negative 3 and a positive 5. So all these pairs, if you multiply them together, you will get negative 15. Does everybody understand that? But we want to find the pair that's going to give us positive 2. When we combine those numbers, combine those pairs, we're looking for the pair that's going to give us positive 2. 5 minus 3 is positive 2. Does everybody understand that?
Yes,
So
because
if they,
the right side one, it's then with the negative
that
2,
would be
right?
negative 2.
Yes.
So minus 5 plus 3 is negative 2. We're looking for B, which is positive 2. So when we factor this, we're going to use those two numbers, x minus 3 times x plus 5. This is how to factor a quadratic formula. To solve it, you must find the zeros. What do you mean find the zeros? What value of x would make these 0? The opposite of minus 3 is what?
What's
Plus
Positive
3.
three,
The opposite of plus 5 is what?
the
Minus
negative
5.
5.
So if they ask you to solve it, your answer is plus 3 or minus 5. If they ask you to factor it, it's x minus 3 times x plus 5. They will ask you to solve a quadratic equation. They will ask you to factor quadratic
Yes,
equation.
factor, yes.
Guaranteed on the exam.
So they both like different, right?
They're
Like
different.
if they give us like this like question and then say factor, so we don't use the formula, right? The quadratic one.
So no matter
Okay.
if you're factoring or solving, I did all the steps in one problem. Now, but guess what?
Oh, so if you factorize it, the same thing as you solve it.
No, you factor to solve it. So once you factor it, you must find the zero. So for example, let me explain to you two more things before we leave. Say for example, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll give you a problem like this. They'll say factor. Let me make something up real fast. Let me grab a piece of paper. Hold on. Let me make up something real quick. So, 2 squared 7x minus 15. 2x plus 3 times x minus 5. We have 2x plus 3 times x plus 5. We have c, 2x minus 3 times x minus 5. And d, we have 2x minus 3 times x plus 5. Okay. So they ask you to factor this. Hold on, Mr. Tinsley. How do we do that? Oh my goodness. I don't know how to factor that problem. You didn't really go over in deep detail how to factor this. So you're right. Because to factor this would take you 5 to 8 minutes. This is why this problem is considered difficult. What I'm going to do is show you a shortcut. Okay? You got to know how to multiply by numerals. So first of all, my first term is 2x squared. My last term is minus 15. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Plus 3 times minus 5 is negative 15. So A is a possibility. 2x times x is 2x squared. 3 times 5 is a positive 15. It cannot be B. 2x times x is 2x squared. Minus 3 times minus 5 is a positive 15. It cannot be C. So right away, we were able to eliminate 2 just by knowing the first and last terms. Now, we use multiplying by numbers. This concept is at least 2 to 3 problems on your exam. You must know how to multiply by numbers. So 2x, so I'm sorry, let me clear this out. So we have 2x plus 3 times x minus 5. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times minus 5 is minus 10x. 3 times x is positive 3x. Plus 3 times minus 5 is negative 15. We combine like terms. We get 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. That's not what we need. We need positive 7x. I know it's not A. Just got my answer D. I'm done. So instead of you spending time to try to factor this, if I show you how to factor this, it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. So instead of showing you how to factor this type of problem, I would rather you learn how to multiply binomials and use the multiple choice to work backwards until you get the original quadratic equation. That's another 3 questions on your exam. Now, how much time we got? 7, right? So, I'm not even going to know how to solve this algebraically. It just takes too long. It'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. But you should know how to multiply by numbers. So you should already know that you're going to get a problem where you have to multiply by numbers straight up. They're going to ask you to factor quadratic equation and give you multiple choice. You have to know how to do that. You have to know how to identify A, B, and C. So in this quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. You have to be able to identify A is 2, B is 7, C is 15. Why we need
Or
to
sometimes they have number no zero. So it makes you like be subtract, right?
You're 100% right. So they have
Okay.
2x squared plus 7x equal 15. Remember I told you, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So if they put something on the right side, you get rid of it. I subtract 15 from both sides. I get 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 equals 0. Now you can solve. I wish I had a problem like that. I'll have a problem like that next week because they recently, matter of fact, let me see if they have. Recently, that's what they've been doing. Let me see. They've been doing that recently. Oh, look at this problem. I'm going to just show you real quick. So remember, I talk about this ebook all the time. I talk about this ebook all the time. They're saying solve this quadratic equation. 4x squared minus x minus 5. Oh, Mr. Tins, I thought you said when a is not equal to 1, you don't even want us to do it. You're 100% right. What I want you to do is know how to use this calculator. If you know how to use this calculator, they are giving you the answers. So what we're going to do is x is minus 1, x equals 5, 4. So I'm going to store it in my calculator, and I'm going to plug it in. 4x squared minus x minus 5. I need to get 0. Remember I told you, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Did I get 0? Yes, I now know -1 is one of my answers. This doesn't have -1. It can't be B. It can't be D. So it's either A or C. So I'm going to plug in my next term. In D, 5 over 4, store x. Plug it into my quadratic expression. 4x squared minus x minus 5. If that's a solution, I should get 0. Yes, it is. I didn't do any algebra. I just took the multiple choice and used my calculator for the tool that it is. I can't tell you enough. I cannot tell you enough how important it'll be for you to pass this exam and learn how to use this calculator. I can't tell you because I just showed you a problem that would take most people anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes, and I did it in 15 seconds. So again, these are the types of questions. That's a difficult question. This would take most people, this is considered a difficult question and would take most people 5 to 7 minutes to solve this problem. But understand what an equation is. Whatever I plug in for x, must solve this equation. So 4 times -1 squared minus a -1 minus 5 equals 0. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, I must do exponents first. So -1 times -1 is 1. 2 negatives make a positive. 4 plus 1 minus 5 equals 0. 5 minus 5 equals 0. 0 equals 0. That's another way. Understand what an equation means. Whatever I plug in for x must give me the opposite side, whatever's on the opposite side of that equal sign. So now I know -1 is my answer. Can't be B, can't be D. Now 5/4 would be a much harder problem, but you have your calculator. So even if you don't understand what I just did, what you can do is use your calculator another way. You can say 4 times 5/4 squared minus 5/4 minus 5. All I did was plug in option A, the second option, 5/4, and let's see if I get 0. Yes, I do. Done. No algebra, no computation, using your multiple choice to solve an equation. You can do that for volume. You can do it for area. You can do it for surface area.
I'm gonna use the same method. I understand this.
Listen, I'm telling you, if you haven't passed your math exam, you found the right place. I'm going to help you pass the exam. Because I'm not just giving, a lot of educators give you one way. This is how you do it. No, I give you, how do you do it algebraic? How do you do it the common sense way? How do you do it, how do you solve it using the calculator? I give you multiple ways because everybody learns differently. So you might understand this way much easier. And all we're doing is plugging it in.
With calculator, it's so easy. If
All right,
we
so
know.
it's after 7. Again, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to send me those problems. So I'll see you next Monday. I'll send me those problems, whether it's text, whether it's email, whatever you need help in, and I'll help you. Everyone have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Bye.